Allora, siamo qui in Minnesota con meno 32 gradi, mi sto gelando le mani per fare questo video, quindi anche se vedete il sole in realtà fa molto freddo, ma ho pensato che fosse un'ottima occasione, dopo aver appena seguito una messa evangelica, di chiedere ai nostri amici americani cosa pensano della Chiesa Cattolica e cosa pensano del Papa. Quindi l'intervista sarà in inglese ovviamente, ma potrete seguire con i sottotitoli. So, hey man, here we are. We just finished service and the soup cook-off. So, would you mind introducing yourself briefly?
Sure. My name is Sam Felix. I'm a member of Crosspoint Church here in Perham, Minnesota. I'm an attorney in town, and I know very little about what I'm sure we'll be talking about today. But I'm enjoying a beautiful, balmy day here in Minnesota.
Perfect. So, in this cold day, let me ask you, what does an American think of the Catholic Church?
Sure. So I'm not a member of the Catholic Church, and I haven't grown up in the Catholic Church. My father was. I What I know most about the Catholic Church is a combination of through my education at the university, which, in my opinion, unfortunately so, is an institution that tends to castigate the Catholic Church and view it as an instrument that hasn't been for good. While I don't agree, and I think the real history of the Catholic Church is that while an institution formed of men, all of whom are sinful and fallible, I think there's a famous quote that talks about how the church is quite clearly a divine instrument of the Lord. Otherwise, what institution could last a fortnight being run with some such rampant idiocy? Which from time to time I think is true of the Catholic Church, but I think it's been an instrument for good over the millennia. And from friends and family that are Catholic, I think they're very proud of their Catholic heritage and of the work that the Catholic Church does, not only in America, but around the world. And now we've got an American Pope.
Well, yeah. So, what would you say you notice to be the main differences between, what you do here and the Catholic Church or the Catholic heritage?
Well, part of the church, the evangelical church, is that it doesn't have the same kinds of traditions. We don't have the same rites in the sense of we don't kneel, we don't have the same sort of formalities that you have in the Catholic Mass. But my perspective would be that we're worshiping the same Lord and Savior, and that the orthodoxy of Christ died, buried, and risen from the grave. The core institutional principles of the Christian doctrine can be viewed across the different evangelical, Lutheran, Catholic churches, and I don't know if that's necessarily something that everyone would agree with. But I think there are perspectives that these are different perspectives, and we're all fallible human beings, and we don't really understand some of the divine nature and these mysteries, and we're wrestling with those. And I think the best evidence that we're honestly wrestling with those things is we come to the point where we can't agree, and so we agree to disagree on certain things. And I think that's just a perfectly fine way to look at the different divisions between Catholic and Lutheran and Evangelical Crosspoint Alliance Church.
Perfect, thank you. Ok, allora ci siamo dovuti spostare all'interno perché ci sono meno 32 gradi Celsius, quindi stavo perdendo le dita e adesso finiremo l'intervista dentro, anche se ci sono un po' di persone che vanno in giro, insomma. So man, to round this up with the Catholic Church, what is a question that you would like to ask an Italian Catholic? And what is just a message that you'd like to share with an Italian Catholic brother?
One thing I've always wanted to know or ask someone who lives in Italy would be what's it like to have all that history? What's it like to have statues and buildings that have been adorned, painted ceilings and statues done by Michelangelo and the greats? What's it like having that kind of history down the street? You know, the history of the area that I live in, you know, written history goes back a couple hundred years. This town was founded in the 1870s, and that's millennia after many of the towns for brothers and sisters in Italy. So what's it like having that level of history, and what does it do to stretch your mind and the concept of time? And a message I guess I would want to send to other believers in Italy is one of encouragement. I think the church and the number of believers and the family oftentimes waxes and wanes. You know, it feels like it's growing or it's failing at different times in history, but God is the same, and our hope in the gospel is stalwart. It is ever the same. The hope that we have in the resurrected Lord isn't one that necessarily ebbs and flows with the culture. It isn't one that is sexy or cool or will get you more money or a great job or fame or wealth or anything like that. But the truth of the gospel is something that will live eternally in the hearts of the believers, whether we're a preserved remnant or whether we're a growing and swelling tide. And so I would just want to convey a message of encouragement to our brothers and sisters in Italy. And if you ever feel like coming here to Minnesota and freezing your hands off, feel free to join us. We're always happy to go show you around and experience life here in the frozen tundra.
Oh, thank you so much. So our last question would be, we now have an American Pope.
We do.
So what do you think about that? What do you think maybe about the Pope in general, and what do you think about the fact that the Pope is now an American?
It's a weird thing, I'll be honest. Having an American Pope seems kind of like an oxymoron. It's a quintessential oddity that the Pope likes the Chicago Bears football team. Doesn't seem Pope-like.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, it seems fundamentally off. Americans, I think, we're known for our rugged individualism and kind of being rough and tumble, and not perhaps for having a long view of history. And so I don't know a whole lot about the new Pope, other than he's unfortunately a Bears fan. We're here in Minnesota where we're Vikings fans. And so I pray the Lord will forgive him for that sin. But other than that, I think it's an interesting time to be alive and to see how the world is changing, and how the Pope, having historically been an Italian for hundreds and hundreds of years, we've had a couple of non-Italian popes for the last century or so, and it's been a little different. I don't know what else that I have to say about that.
All right. Well, thank you, man, for agreeing to do this interview. And thank you for having me here in frozen Minnesota. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure.
Bye. Thank you, man.
Yep.